and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be having a look at this. This is Honda's latest incarnation of a legendary Fireblade. I've been lucky enough to be using this for the last 2 weeks, courtesy of Honda UK, and it's been quite an experience, I've got to say. The first Fireblade was obviously launched back in the midst of time, back in 1992, when that was 900, and it was a bit of a game changer back then. It's a lightweight, crazy powerful 900. It had a bit of a fearsome reputation. I was only about 13, 14 years old at the time. Obviously, this bad boy has since come along, and as you can see just by looking at it, it is absolutely dripping in the good stuff. Let's get a bit closer and have a look.
This is no mere superbike. This is a precision scalpel forged in the flames of Suzuka, sharpened by time, track days and decades of samurai level obsession. And this summer, I took this magnificent creation not to a racetrack, that would be too easy, but instead to a serpentine backdrop of Sussex and Surrey, real roads, real cars, real cows, and quite a lot of wheelies. The blade is powered by 999.9, so call it 1000cc, inline 4 with titanium internals and a hunger for RPM. It kicks out 215 brake horsepower at 14,000 RPM with 113 newton meters of torque at 12,000 RPM, and it tips the scales with a curb weight of 201 kilograms. Performance-wise, you're looking at a sphincter twitching, licence worrying 186 mile an hour or thereabouts before the electronic restricting witchcraft kicks in, and it will propel itself from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, give or take a blink. Suspension is straight out the top drawer. Öhlins MPX Smart EC2 semi-active wizardry at the front and TTX 36 rear do their thing to keep everything in shape. The swing arm appears to be nicked from a factory MotoGP bike. Brakes are, again, top-notch Brembo Stylema stoppers biting twin 330mm discs at the front that could anchor a cruise ship, and then 220mm disc at the back. Electronic gubbins see a 6-axis IMU, cornering ABS, slide control, wheelie control, and a very polite quick shifter that never misses a beat no matter how you stomp on the gears. There is of course the usual choice of rider modes and room for your own settings too. Fuel economy, you'll see I suppose around 40 to 45 miles per gallon if you behave, which I didn't, and range about 120 to 140 miles between panic fuel stops, although the claimed range is about 153 miles, so yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. That's more than enough for a spirited ride down to Devil's Dyke and back, especially if you're taking the scenic route via Partridge Green with a spine-tingling B2135. The Fireblade is not so much a motorcycle as it is a mobile science experiment in traction, lean angle and how many grins per mile your facial muscles can withstand. Sitting on the outskirts of Haywards Heath, it glints menacingly under the English sun, resplendent in its Grand Prix red livery with the obligatory HRC stripes that whisper, "This ain't no beginner's toy." The front end is snub-nosed, aerodynamic beak, complete with internal winglets that look like someone's nicked a jet fighter's ailerons. It's aggressive, but it's not vulgar, like a samurai in a three-piece suit. The moment you throw a leg over, you're reminded this is a machine built for performance. The seat is high, the bars are low, and the pegs are back somewhere near your kidneys. Comfort? You want comfort, get a Civic. This is ergonomics built for 180 mile an hour sweepers, not Sunday brunch. But that said, it really isn't that bad, and I happily rode it to Silverstone for the day without any aches or pains. Thumb the starter and the Akrapovic titanium exhaust growls awake, a cultured burble at idle, a banshee scream when you so much as breathe near the throttle. Goosebumps? Absolutely. Fear? Yeah, just a touch. Leaving town, the Fireblade already feels tense. Not nervous, just poised, like a cold spring. The ride at low speed is firm, but surprisingly forgiving thanks to that Öhlins semi-active suspension that's constantly whispering sweet nothings to the road and adjusting itself like a butler with a PhD. The A272 out of Haywards Heath is your warm-up act, gently undulating tarmac with just enough variety to feel things out. The blade is stiff, but it's not punishing. Öhlins semi-active suspension adjusts like a living butler with sensors in his kneecaps. It reads every imperfection and reacts instantly. Even on the rutted approach to Skeins Hill, the ride is taut but composed, like riding on caffeinated silk. Turn off towards Livenfield and the things tighten up. Here the Fireblade's agility begins to sparkle. The front end feels like it's been carved from granite and blessed by MotoGP deities. Every flick of the bars is met with instant response. It's not just turning, it's teleporting. Past the fields and hedgerows of Sharpthorne and West Hoveley, there are sudden cambers, nasty blind bends and the occasional tractor ambling out of a time vortex, but thanks to the blade's finely tuned electronics suite, you're never caught out. Mid-corner bumps? Yeah, they're handled. Rear wheel starts to twitch under acceleration? Yep, that's sorted. So you can lean on it literally and metaphorically, and it just works. Reaching Cowfold, a village that sounds like it should sell jams, but is actually home to one of the most entertaining roads and ribbons of tarmac this side of the Snaefell mountain course. You head west on the A272 and suddenly the Fireblade gets to stretch its legs. Third gear, wow, that's a revelation. It's smooth, muscular, and to be honest, it's borderline terrifying when you realise you accidentally reached very, very naughty numbers without even trying. Blip down 2 gears, thank you blipper gods, and sweep through Bolney with a cheeky downshift that sounds like angels gargling gravel. The front end stays composed, the rear is planted, and the whole chassis feels like it's hugging the earth with a vengeance. Turn south and snake through Wynham and down to Henfield, and the roads become narrower, sketchier, ideal conditions to test the blade's manners. And here's a surprise. It's not a one-trick, high-rev diva. Below 6,000 RPM, it's smooth, it's rideable, even friendly, like a pit bull in a bow tie. You can cruise through villages without waking babies or sparking police raids, yet with a flick of a wrist, you're back to warp speed hooliganism. Further into the ride, the hairpins come thick and fast. Here the blade starts to dance. Turn-in is telepathic, the front end light yet laser precise. The IMU helps feed real-time data to every corner of a bike's brain, and suddenly you're not so much riding as collaborating with a machine. It's teamwork, it's jazz, it's erotic. Every throttle input is measured, smooth, clean, and that's thanks to its new split throttle bodies. And if you're greedy, it's explosive. Past Dorrington, a cheeky overtaking opportunity presents itself. Goodbye Audi A3. The Fireblade doesn't just overtake, it obliterates traffic like it's got a personal vendetta against hatchbacks. The quick shifter clicks through gears like a mechanical metronome. There's no snatch, no hesitation at all, just beautiful, glorious, brutal propulsion. Drop down into the meandering B roads around Petworth and Midhurst, and this is where the Fireblade's true character emerges. The bike isn't trying to be your friend. It's your sparring partner. It demands precision. It rewards aggression. You can tootle below to 6,000 RPM if you like and it will behave. But who buys a Fireblade to tootle? Open her up past 8,000 RPM and the blade becomes feral. The intake noise roars like a dragon with indigestion. The tacho surges towards 14,000 RPM like it's late for a party. And the scenery, well, that becomes a blur of green, hedgerows and slightly shocked ramblers. But here's the magic. Despite all this savagery, it never feels like it's going to kill you. The electronics are so subtly integrated, so well judged, that it feels like a force field around your foolish human frailty. Traction control helps you drive out of damp corners without fuss. Cornering ABS means you can trail brake like Tommy Bridewell on a sugar high. And that wheelie control, let's just say I've tested it extensively, accidentally of course. And let's address the carbon fibre elephant in the room. Is this just a track bike with number plates? Well, yes, but also no. While it's clear the Honda's built this bike with one eye on the stopwatch, the blade is surprisingly usable on the road. The ride quality is good, the electronics make it far less intimidating than say a Ducati V4S, and the fuel economy, hovering around 42 miles per gallon, if you're gentle, and I wasn't, means it's not quite the petrol swigging demon that you'd expect. Still, it's not perfect, At slow speeds it can feel a bit lumpy, and the TFT screen, while bright and functional, is a bit faffy to navigate. At £23,699 on the road, with a 2-year warranty, which can be extended to 6 if you stick with Honda's service schedule, the Blade SP, it ain't cheap, but neither is the competition. Think Ducati Panigale V4S, BMW M1000RR, Kawasaki ZX-10R and Yamaha R1M if you can find one. In this company, the Blade doesn't shout the loudest, but it speaks the clearest. It's the grown up in a room full of hooligans. So in conclusion, I say it's a bloody brilliant bike, the Blade. After several hundred miles across some of Britain's most beautiful and challenging roads, not to mention some motorway miles and the 40-mile commute, one thing is clear: the 2025 Honda Fireblade SP is not just an exceptional motorcycle. It's a statement. It's a love letter to engineering, a perfect blend of analogue soul and digital brain. It may not have the Fietta of a Ducati, nor the sheer top-end terror of a BMW, but it feels better balanced, better judged, and dare I say it, best for Britain's battered tarmac. It's a bike that will keep you safe at 10/10ths, but reward you every single time you drop a cog and pin the throttle. So, in conclusion, would I buy one? Would I buy one? Well, if I had 23k burning a hole in my levers, absolutely. It's a machine for riders who appreciate finesse, speed, and the occasional lung-loosening scream down a Sussex back road. So, bravo Honda, the king is back and his sword is sharper than ever. I'm giving the Blade, 2025 Blade, I'm giving it a perfect 10 out of 10. Great bike. Anyway, look, I hope you've enjoyed this video. There is more to come, and let me know if there are any bikes that you'd like me to have a look at, and I'll try my best to see if I can cover them. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, guys. Keep it rubber side down. Take it easy. Bye.